What's up everybody, this is Donnie aka Elevated with another video on behalf of Dota Alchemy, and I just wanted to make a really quick one from a game that I played today that illustrated this specific point that I think is incredibly important to understanding how to win solo queue games consistently. And I mean, we get tons and tons of questions about, what hero is strong, what role should I play? I don't think any of that really matters as long as you have a basic grasp of understanding about mechanics and you're playing a hero and role that you enjoy. After that, I think the most important thing that you should focus on is just kind of understanding the state of the game and developing your game sense, because every game is different. So I can't just give you a roadmap, do this every single game and you're going to win. Every game is different and you need to basically be thinking a couple moves ahead. And I think specifically if you anticipate the mistakes that your team is going to make and play around them and basically save your team from themselves sometimes in critical situations. And essentially this game demonstrates my thesis, which is that game sense and sort of thinking ahead and thinking about the state of the game is the most important thing that you should try to develop once you have a basic grasp on mechanics and are playing heroes and roles that you enjoy. So a little bit of background on this game. This was a very, very long, stressful game. We dominated most of the game. We took all their towers very early, but then we weren't able to push high ground successfully against this Tinker because our coordination was, frankly, not very good. We were able to get megas. It's 57 minutes into the game, but everybody on our team dies except for the Drow. And while Drow is having a reasonably good game in terms of net worth, Drow had been making quite a few sort of decision and positional mistakes that were a little bit worrying to me. And you can see that based on the enemy team, they have a pretty farmed Tinker who has a Hex, which is sort of late game carry Tinker mode. They have, an Ursa who could definitely solo kill somebody. They have a very farmed Grimstroke with Ags and a Hex. They have Dark Willow has a lot of stuff, and Phoenix is quite farmed. So they have really good team fight, and they were basically beating us in every single team fight, unless we were fighting around our Shadow Shaman snakes in their base. And currently, snakes are on cooldown because we just use them to take mega creeps. So at this point, and this kind of just illustrates my thesis on this Drow, is that Drow was going to be potentially the player that could lose us the game by making a bad decision. So Drow has TP and instead walks into vision instead of TPing out and could potentially die here. He's able to get out, but that right there kind of just illustrates my idea of how the Drow was going to play this game. So I'm anticipating that the Drow is basically the one player on our team who could throw the game for us, and we need to combat that by basically saving the Drow from himself. So I want to reiterate, this is not me trying to be like, this Drow's a bad player. This is not me trying to say like, hey, check out this awesome play that I made. This is really just trying to illustrate the point of anticipating what could happen and anticipating the worst case scenario and then trying to avert that from happening. So what is the worst case scenario that could happen right here? Our Drow is the only hero alive. They're pushing our base. Sure, we have mega creeps. There's a pretty small chance that we lose this game unless we do something drastically stupid. But what is that drastically stupid thing that could happen? The answer is Drow could try to defend this tower solo, feed away his life. Then we could sort of chain buyback one at a time and feed away our lives and eventually just lose the game because we keep feeding this Tinker who has, permanent Hex. How do we avoid that from happening? How do we avoid losing this game? How do we avoid throwing this game? Well, I was playing offlane Sven, so I'm not a carry. I just have a bunch of sort of control and team fight, and I figured that if I buy back now, I have the opportunity to help defend and potentially keep our Drow alive, keep our Drow from making a game-losing decision. We could even let them take Rax. It's not that big of a deal. We don't need to defend this set of Rax. And that's why nobody has back on our team so far, because this Rax is not important. We have mega creeps. Losing one set of Rax 58 minutes into the game is not a big deal. But what is a big deal is our heroes dying, because that is the only way that we lose the game. So I'm going to go ahead and buy back here, and I'm going to run straight for my Drow, because Drow's hanging around here. I don't want him to do exactly this. He runs up and gusts the Ursa and Dark Willow and puts himself in a really, really terrible position. He has no invis anymore to escape, just as the Hurricane Pike and BKB, but against a Tinker with Hex and Blink, that's not enough. This guy could just get chain hexed and then die, and even though he has buyback, that could lead our team into sort of chain feeding, buying back, TPing in, trying to save each other, and that could potentially lose us the game, even though we're in a pretty dominant position still. So sure enough, Drow gets hexed. They actually Yules him as well, but he would definitely die here if I wasn't in this position. I use this opportunity to blink in and hex the Tinker to keep him from chain hexing our Drow, to allow my Drow to get off his BKB and reposition himself correctly. And as a result, I'm able to hit a 3-man Stormhammer as they run in to try and save their Tinker. And as a result, we're going to be able to kill all 3 of these heroes and essentially just win the game. But you can see that if I wasn't there in that position, anticipating that this exact scenario is going to happen, our Drow 100% dies there. Our Leshrac is now just TPing in. Shaman just respawned, so he's not in position to help the Drow. Kunkka is holding his buyback because he's a very important hero that can't die right now. If I hadn't bought back preemptively and expected our Drow to make this positional mistake, then our Drow dies and we could potentially lose this game. So that's basically it. I just wanted to kind of demonstrate that you should be anticipating the game-losing situations that could occur, or the bad situations that could occur, and then just act to avert those from happening. That's all you really have to do. Prevent your team from making game-losing mistakes by thinking ahead, thinking about what could lose us this game, and then making sure that that doesn't happen. Or use those bad decisions as a way to set yourself up for something positive to happen. So thanks for watching the video. Good luck in your games, and shout out to my team in this one for sticking together, not tilting, and winning a super hard game against a very, very annoying hero. Again, I didn't want to specifically shit on the Drow. I just wanted to use this game as a example of how you can avoid your team losing the game. And to that end, hopefully you guys will stop blaming your team for losing you games, because sure, they're going to make mistakes, but if you are anticipating those mistakes and then playing around them, you're going to prevent those throws from happening. Hello everyone, and thank you for watching the video. We genuinely appreciate your time and attention spent with us here on the YouTube channel.